Ja, voilà. Goedemorgen Tom, mijn naam is Tom Commeine, voorzitter PSA Belgium 2023. My name is Tom Commeine, I'm president of PSA Belgium 2023, and I have the honor and privilege to have this interview with one of our esteemed long-time members, Tom Meyers. And I'll give the floor to Tom to introduce himself and to maybe answer a first question. What has inspired you originally to become a member of PSA Belgium?
Hello, Tom, and thank you for inviting me to this interview. Tom. Actually, I call Tom the Health Navigator. So now we are Tom, navigating the ways of speaking and health and well-being, or at least the future of health and well-being, which is a topic that greatly concerns me and the topic on which I mostly love to speak, because I'm, as you are asking, who I am. I'm an osteopath with my own approach, the reset approach that I also now train people in around the world, especially in India and soon in Brazil and Dubai. That all has to do with helping the body to deal with the fast changing world. And that is causing a lot of stress in people, and stress is causing illness. So I make the link between my practice as an osteopath with the future. That is, we're living in this fast changing world. We are living through a paradigm shift where old ways of working don't work. And that is causing us a lot of stress, anxiety, physical, mental health, social problems. And we need to find new solutions to deal with that, and very fast, because of course, the world is exponentially changing faster. And things are coming up to us that we have no reference point for from our past. So this is, if I summarize it, what I want to do and help and speak about is to help people to flourish in this flow of evolution and thrive in this fast changing world. And it's like, is that on a one-to-one basis with my patients as an osteopath, or is it with people that have questions about, how do I deal with this? I seem to be overwhelmed and I don't seem to be able to grab onto help, hold on to anything anymore. And also into organizations to say, people need to go and reskill and upskill, and there is a lot of resistance for change. How do we deal with that? What can we do? And these are these three elements. So for me, that's therapy, training, and teaching that are form the three T's of Tom.
Okay, very interesting. So you have your own osteopath practice, and from your practice, actually, you've developed a system that you call Reset, if I understood right. And
yes,
now you are talking about learning to other people in India and Dubai and Brazil how to use that Reset system.
Yes, and it's a reset system that is so REASET. It's an amalgam of the word reset and ease. So it means the return to ease. There is, in health and well-being, if you're in a stress response, healing does not happen because it's a survival response. So you have to bring back ease, so that middle between stress and relaxation, so that dynamic point from where you can adapt, and adaptability, or your capacity of adaptability, is a sign of health and well-being to be able to express itself. So first we need to bring back ease before we actually start treating any kind of symptom. Because that symptom, if you're only going to go that specifically, and you haven't really connected or reset the balance in the autonomic nervous system, which is the basis of this ease mode, then of course it's just going to come back. You have maybe masked the symptoms, but you haven't dealt with the problem. And then behind that, if people want, you can also start from, okay, but where does that dis-ease come from? And so you can also do maybe some coaching to say from, okay, this disease has installed because you were overwhelmed, the fast changing world is influencing you consciously or subconsciously. So, and then we need to start talking about, okay, but how are you going to deal with it? What are the parameters in your life that you maybe need to look at for a more conscious evolution? Because if we go that way, then our biological evolution is too slow to follow this fast-pacing world. So we have to start looking, and that's why we're living in this paradigm shift, that old way of letting everything go with the flow, okay, surah, that is making us ill. We need to start to think a little bit more in advance, to start thinking from, okay, how can I prepare myself better? How can I become more resilient for change? And of course, that needs a lot of reflection, needs some homework, which we are not really used to do, but we can, because, I always say or compare it to a holiday. When you start preparing your holiday for next year, you're looking into the future, you're looking at different scenarios of which holiday you want to do or where you want to go. There are different options, then you choose one that is best reflects that what you want to achieve, your aspirations, the way you want to feel, what you want to do, your capacity financially. And then from that onwards, you have an objective on which you start to align yourself in the present day. And every time you think of that moment from the holiday, you think, wow, and we can do this and we can do that. It fills you with this joy and it gives you energy. Now, what I'm talking about, from as soon as we start helping the person to be back at ease, now we also have to start to think about that kind of future perspective to say from, okay, how do you want to feel? What are your aspirations? What is your potential to get there? Because from that moment onwards, you can start more aligning yourself. And although it seems reductive, it actually creates more opportunities and the right ones for you. So this is, I'm starting to teach, I'm starting to train physiotherapists into this philosophy of health, but also then, there are specific techniques and principles that I teach to physiotherapists specifically, because it's a manual approach, because the autonomic nervous system, you cannot give you a pill. There is not like one thing you need to do. No, you need to do several things to get it back into balance. And because it's not one fits all, it doesn't work like that. And so physical therapists it's just one thing, physical therapists specifically, why? Because they're nearly the only ones that still touch a body for a long period of time.
Yeah, so that's quite interesting. So you're dealing a lot with people that are stressed and have all kinds of symptoms because of that stress, I guess. When somebody experiencing stress and what are the symptoms when people notice it that they should think, no, I have to see Tom Meyers in his practice?
Well, most of the time it starts with a physical complaint, right? So like neck and shoulder or back pain.
Okay.
And associated, because on my website I say, okay, but do you have only physical problems? Of when you think about it, how about are you more agitated than before? Are you more short-tempered? Do you have mood swings? Do you start to see that, you don't see the trees through the forest anymore? I think the expression is. Do you feel like your memory is going down? Yeah, or how are you with your partner, with your spouse, with your kids, with your colleagues? How is that relationship? Do you see changes, a more strain? So these are all signs that your stress response could be in overdrive. Or like a patient that I had yesterday. So he feels that he's sleeping 10 hours, but he's not recuperating anymore. It's like I'm as tired as when I go to bed. I have headaches. I feel like, I'm going to nearly, collapse at one stage. I don't feel myself anymore. It's like I'm not me anymore. And of course, they come for the physical. And then when we start talking, having this conversation, I say but what's happening in the last couple of months? And then, I've been laid off. I was unemployed for a very long time. I got a new job 6 months ago. 5 months ago, I got a new baby. It's my third one. Well, then you're starting to see kind of a whole story brought up, and you say okay, but you're a father of two already. You were unemployed. Culturally, he was from Turkey, so culturally, the man, he needs to provide. That is probably getting a little bit of a hit if he couldn't. And so we have to understand these cultural differences as well. And then 2 kids, that is already a lot of, work. And then finding a new job. Then a month later, a new kid. So for me, and then we're going through this story, and then he suddenly starts to realize that he said, wow, yeah, exactly. This is how I feel. And so because I can relate to it through to personal experience and through professional experience, suddenly it becomes clear from where does this come from. And I think this is the first kind of breakthrough then, and to help them, first of all, then to realize and to help them with the physical part, and also to see okay, let's see how I can help you next time, to see what can you do for yourself to deal with all of the challenges that life is giving you in a bigger perspective. We have to look bigger perspectives. I see we all need to be astronauts, looking at the Earth and at ourselves from this overview, to say okay, where do I fit in here? How does it all work? We are all one. We are together. Okay, how can I be the best person to contribute to myself, my family, and to the world?
Very interesting. Very interesting. Because lots of people are confronted with stress these days. I can imagine. So I can imagine you have a very busy practice. Thinking about that, your busy practice, you still go out and speak about it to other people. You don't just run your practice. You're also a professional speaker. What inspired you to go on stage, to explain this to people, to
Well, it's an extension of what I was doing in my practice. I was advising people. I was talking to people a lot about, these other aspects that's never talked about. And it was actually my patients that said, hey, you have to start speaking about this in public. Maybe some people would be interested into that. And, slowly but surely, this idea started to grow, and I started to do some workshops where I was already in front of a public. And, it seemed to be like the next stage up. But the big breakthrough towards doing it and to be a member of PSA as well was, when I started to write a book, my first book, Futurize Yourself, Design Your Life from Purpose, which is then my personal story based with what happened and how I futurized myself, how the future helped me to get out of my, predicament. I was suicidal, depressed, small business owner with a delicatessen and charcuterie shop, right? Nothing to do with what I do today. That was only 23 years ago. And then you start to look from, okay, but how do I start with this? How do I start a speaking career? I probably have the knowledge, I have information that I can share. I just didn't know where to start. And how do you do that? And of course, then you're going to look on the internet, what's there. And that's how I somewhere got into contact with Professional Speakers Association. I said, well, it's obvious, like if you want to be professional, then then you speak to the professionals, right? People who are doing it. And then I got to get to that first meeting. So you go to that first meeting, and you find some kind of a family. The family with people from different backgrounds, all interested in delivering information and helping other people to grow, but also with similar questions than you have. And everybody has like a piece of the puzzle. And through these meetings, you get to know, okay, this person has this piece of the puzzle. And then, of course, after the meeting, you recontact them and say, okay, can we have a conversation? And that family has grown, and that kind of bond with that family has grown. And at the same time, like when I had some issues with visa and for going to India in August, and also know that it wasn't something at the same time happening. I was invited to New York to give a presentation, and the email was really nice, and it was really nicely profiled, and it turned out to be a scam, right? And the scam, so I put it into our networks. If I'm be careful, there is a scam going on. But before I realized it was a scam, there was a whole process. Who knows what I need to go to New York? Do I need a visa? Do I need a work visa? What do I need? So I just asked, in my network, lots of questions about who knows who that can help me to with these questions, because I don't know. And of course, PSA is member of a larger worldwide organization, and everybody knows somebody that can answer your question.
Yeah.
And so I felt like, wow, I've got this whole family where I can just ask and feel much more reassured for that, to deal with it. And it's an idea that I just link in stress response, in futures, in the preparation of the future. We need anchor points, right? We need something to hold on to, so that everything changes, when we suddenly get a blow, that we can hold on to and come back to, and that kind of center point which we can function. And if everything changes, that center point is still there, right? And that gives you security. I'm just realizing that PSA for me is that center point. So when I have a problem in my speaking business, when something happens, when I have a question that I don't know, or when it turns out to be a scam, it was, I felt depressed for a couple of days, because it's like somebody's taking your dream away, right? And then I had this kind of realization from, hey, but I have my PSA group, and they support me in this. And I could talk to them, I could even just the idea that they were there just helped me to get through that period.
That's nice. That's a good testimonial for PSA Belgium. When you go to you made obvious from your professional practice to the speaking stage. Several years, I think you're a member of PSA Belgium already. It's quite a while, I think.
I can't even remember when. So that's how long it is.
You were on stage several times. I remember before COVID happened to all of us with big audiences. How do you prepare for such events? When you go, is it big preparations that you do? Let's say somebody invites you for a keynote of, let's say, 45 minutes. How much preparation does it actually take? Do you have any idea about that?
In hours, I never counted it, but it's a lot of hours. I feel, even though that I've stood on a few stages, I feel still a beginner. And I still feel that kind of insecurity. Am I going to do right? Am I going to be able to deliver? So I prepare everything from A to Z. I write my text out, try to, in a way, memorize it. It does come out very differently and fluently, but I try to structure it. It's about finding a way that works for me to have a beginning, a middle, and an end within the given time. Because I can talk for hours and hours and hours if you let me. And of course, this is not the purpose. Also, slides help me to guide me into the, to keep myself online and guided. I found that if I write my text and I make my slides at the same time, that helps me really to structure myself and to not waste time. If I only write and don't do the slides, I'm wasting time. Try that, it doesn't work. I need to do the same at the same time. Although I'm also noticing, and also at the last PSA meeting, for example, where I was asked to present my book, I didn't prepare at all, and it also worked. So I'm probably also slightly shifting from the insecurity, from this is still new, to getting more confidence by doing, and then getting to that more spontaneous kind of presentation. But all depends, of course, on the, is it a paid speaking gig and with specific objectives, or is it, something like in a PSA meeting, which is a bit more free?
Yes.
But it can be 2 weeks, let's say that at least 2 weeks of every morning working on a presentation for 45 minutes is for me not abnormal.
Yeah. And that I'm happy that you say this, because I hear this from lots of professional speakers, that they have to prepare enormous amount of time to be able to deliver a speech with a certain purpose, with a structure in it. And it takes just a lot of time. And lots of people who are not aware about this profession actually think, oh, they just go to talk for 45 minutes and that's it. But it's so much more than those 45 minutes. There's so much more preparation that goes into it. Thank you for sharing this. Then you've been on stage several times. When, for yourself, when do you find that speech that you've delivered, the keynote that you've delivered, has been a success? What are the things that you say, hey, this was a good one?
Yes, there's two ways. I think there is a personal feeling. Okay? So when at the end of a presentation, when everything went well and as planned, and where you say, I got off stage and I really enjoyed this moment. I think it's like a feeling that I enjoyed myself for that kind of 45 minutes. That is for me like a successful presentation. But at the end of the day, it's not about you, and it's about the audience and the organizer. Right? So first the audience, then the organizer. And then sometimes you get from the organizer feedback, because they send out evaluations. What did you like about this? And then sometimes you're really surprised that people didn't really, or a part of the, let's say 30 to 40% of the people there in a large group of 50 or 100, that some people really didn't think it was good. And that that they were speaking well, but that the message didn't get through. And that at the end of the day, they pay you for that. And so you have that 70% that's still good. But then you have that 30% where they say from, okay, no, this is, this was a waste of time nearly. Not in those harsh words, but still sometimes the words are very harsh. And of course, that is, then the learning process starts. Okay, how can I improve from this? What were these comments? What was that I can do better to also get on board these people? It's not the dynamic of the speaker, but it's the content that I'm sometimes a little bit theoretical, but now people are asking more practical information.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need to find a good balance. So you bring that balance, and then of course it goes back. I find that sometimes, I'm not happy with this presentation, something missed, and then you're going to look, because I recorded myself also for my personal records. And so I audio record it so I can go back to it. And then, of course, afterwards you can start looking into what the feedback was from your audience, from your organizer, and say, okay, this is what I will do better next time, and work on that. But it's, you have successes, and sometimes you really get blown back from, wow, I thought it was really well, and then, and still the audience perceived it in a different way. You have to deal with that.
Yeah. You've been speaking Belgium, India already. What's your most memorable one of all the speaking assignments that you've been doing?
Well, if you have 1,500 people in front of you, that's rather impressive, right? I believe, and then the roar of applause afterwards is it's like I can imagine some rock star getting applause. It's humbling because I'm telling my story, and it was just an amazing experience. But I had to speak twice at a conference in India, and the first, I was asked on stage, so all the speakers were standing on stage, and then I was asked, it's about 5 minutes before, they say, from Tom, you have to give, like an opening speech to 1,500 students. And that came out of the blue, right? 5 minutes before I had to go to that lecture. And then you say, okay, what now? And okay, then you say you don't have to panic, because there's no reason for it. They didn't prepare you. And that is a bit Indian tradition, I think. They just say, oh, now this. Oh, really? Is that what we have to do now? Why wasn't I told before? No. And when you speak from the heart, then of course things magical happen. And that was like a magic couple of minutes, which just words came out, and apparently they were the right ones on that moment. And then to continue the story, then the next day I had my lecture, so my talk, and then the slides didn't work. So we, and it's like you're standing there in front of 1,500 people, you have prepared everything, and then the slides, the conversion from Mac and to Microsoft is sometimes really difficult. And I had everything with me, all the cables, and still it didn't work. And then you're standing there, okay, then you give your presentations without the slides and you try to do your best. That's one of these moments where but again, if you know what you're talking about, if you speak from your heart and you speak from wisdom within, they know that you don't have the slides and they can see it, that there is a problem, and then just do it anyway. Just go for it.
That's of course also good preparation throughout the years, that you have all that wisdom and knowledge, insights to express.
And you need those 2 weeks to prepare.
Exactly. What advice would you give to someone who is interested in becoming a professional speaker, but still has to completely start?
I think, the first thing is, from why do you want to do it? And so there is many reasons that you want to become a professional speaker. But I think you need to be clear with your mission, your values. And if you really come from nowhere, then of course, being member of an organization like PSA is giving you like a structure on which you can build, and that what you can build on, that what does not change. And PSA is there, it does not change, it will be there for always to have the question. But it all starts with a good speech, right? And the talk is always about a good presentation. So have a good presentation, work on it, talk, present it to others, do it online, have people listen to you, give you feedback, and so you can sculpt it and improve it. And this is what it's all about at the end of the day. It's about, yes, getting out of that comfort zone. Sometimes asking for help, yes, but that's what people are there for. We are not alone on this planet. And practice at the end of the day.
Okay, thank you very much. And then to round up this interview, a very interesting question, since you're with stress and osteopathy and everything. How do you balance your busy practice, professional practice, combined with the speaking, which also takes preparation and time, and then you have a private life? What are the elements for you to find balance in it?
Well, it's dedicating time to each part, so that for a long time, I've recently changed it, but for a couple of years, every morning I kept for me. So I started working in my practice at 12. I would be here at 8 o'clock or something like that. And then that first morning is where I am creative. I create the courses, I create the books, I create the articles, and from 12 onwards, I start working as an osteopath. Now I have opened up a few mornings because a lot of things are in place. But it's, the constraint is time. Yes. So you have to dedicate time and set it aside for it. Because if you don't take the time will not come to you. And depending on which type of person you are, for example, as soon as I've done one patient, it's like I cannot be creative anymore. I cannot write as well anymore. It's like suddenly all my energy has shifted into Tom the therapist and not into Tom the teacher trainer. So that's why, for me, I needed to block those mornings to do that part of me. And it's a learning process. It's about learning who you are, how you function, and to, even though that seems against the stream sometimes, or goes against set norms, but set norms for whom? What is average? An average is made of extremities. It's it's like if you're part of an extreme, and that is you, then that's fine. But you have to respect that from yourself. But also, the more you respect yourself, the more others will respect you. But respect comes from knowing yourself. So this is what I do, and I do it for this. And because if you say it's just like that, then of course people are not going to respect you. But sometimes it gives you, when you give a good, valid explanation that is thought through and that represents you, then of course people will accept that. And I give one example. I've decided to work on a nudist beach. That's a metaphor. That means that I never want to work with any products. So if I get a phone call and someone says, hey, Tom, you know, we've got this interesting product that you can sell in your practice, or we have an interesting product that you can use as a tool to improve, I say no. I say no, because I don't have that on my nudist beach. And then they stop and say, what? I say, I explain, you know, I want to be free of products. I want to be able to do everything every day. I want to be able to teach, to train. If you pick me up like this and you set me on a plane and I don't have anything with me, I can do it. I can do therapy, I can train people, and I can teach. And all the stuff around it, the computer, the slides, it's all bonus. Yeah? I don't need it. This is what I've created for myself as a metaphor, because I wanted to be free. And that freedom is so important that that becomes a value on which I function.
Okay.
And so know yourself, and that is a very important lesson for us all, and to be able to, yes, we work in a society, but we need to also get to know what the piece of the puzzle that we are that fits in that larger picture.
Yeah. Okay. I've learned a lot in this interview. Thank you very much for sharing abundantly all your wisdom, Tom. And
you're welcome.
I'm sure that many people who will watch this, aspiring speakers or even already established speakers, will also learn still a lot from it, and also have an idea on why Professional Speakers Association is a great organization to join if you are a speaker or an aspiring speaker. I thank you very much for taking your time for this interview, and I'm looking forward to see you and meet you again at one of our events at Professional Speaker Association. Have a great day, Tom. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Have a great